Myself and Samuel Eto'o have one thing in common. We both backed Morocco. Although he also backed Cameroon, I didn't go that far. But Morocco have made it this far. It is a record for an African side. I did a whole TikTok, a whole Instagram reel, 4 or 5 stories.
Bebo.
Bebo, the lot. I was searching for more Morocco stories. They've made it. They've been incredible this tournament. And for a lot of people who don't support, say, Argentina or France in this tournament, Morocco is probably the side that a lot of people are backing, mainly out of the idea of this World Cup being packed full of surprises. Go and win it. But what has made this Morocco team this good?
It's evident and it's clear it's their defence. They've conceded 1 goal this whole tournament, and that was an own goal from Naya Figuer against Canada. They're incredibly disciplined and happy to relinquish possession, giving Spain 77% of the ball in the round 16 game. And against Portugal game, again, Portugal didn't have as much of the ball as that, but they were dominant. But Morocco looked the more dangerous side, willing to catch them on the counter-attack. And I think you have to heap praise on Walid Regragui, their coach, who had to shuffle his defence around. There was no Aguirre. There's no Mazraoui, who plays for Bayern Munich, and he had to bring in different pieces, and they were the same Morocco side. They deserve their credit, and if you look at their tournament so far, probably had the most difficult run-in. Had a group with Croatia and Belgium in, and the Canada side that were tricky. Then played Spain in the round of 16, and then beat Portugal in the quarterfinals. You can't ask for much more on your route to a World Cup semi-final. The first African team to make it to a World Cup semi-final. They're a credit to Africa, a credit to themselves, and like you say, if you're not a fan of one of the bigger nations, you do hope Morocco can make it to the final.
We've spoke a lot about it as well, but like the buy-in of the whole team, obviously Hakim Ziyech is the star man there, but him and Boufal, like playing on those wings and playing farther forward, have bought into that with the tracking back, and they've done their defensive work as well, which has really helped them. And then, I mean, just going back to the coach, I mean, he's been in charge for 100 days, he's got them to a semi-final. I mean, I love Gareth Southgate, but when you compare it to that, you're like, is that the blueprint going forward? Just sack someone before 100 days and then you get to a World Cup semi-final? But I think what I love about a World Cup, going back to my youth, is just like, obviously there's so much more information about players and you can find that out now, but it's just finding these stars that you might not know about, and they're having one of the runs of the last century, really. Morocco in a World Cup semi-final, and discovering these new players is just part of the magic of why I love a World Cup.
Just back to the point on like them sacrificing possession, they've had 31.8% possession, which if you're watching Premier League football or whatever league you watch, you go, they're not going to win a game if they don't have any possession. But the ability they've got to spring out on the counter is outstanding. They had moments against Portugal where they could have scored a second or third goal. Naturally, they don't actually have that much quality in the final third. They obviously had the substitute striker sent off, which, by the way, was a disgrace. Let me put it out there, with no Moroccan bias involved. But this side sort of sits in, and they sort of go, come and break us down. We'll sit in a 4-5-1 essentially. And then if we get away, we'll give it to Boufal, we'll give it to Ziyech. And they've got these like sort of trap cards in Boufal who can, in a 1v1, take anyone on. And Ziyech who can split a team apart with a wonderful pass. And then you've got that defence that is essentially just don't break for anyone. They essentially go, if you've got pace, we've got Hakimi on one side, Mazraoui's obviously been injured on the other side, then you've got Romain Saïss and you've got Naya Figuer. They've also had to throw in their other options, and everyone knows the drill, which tells you tactically they've got everything nailed. But their goalkeeper, Bono, I mean, not only does he have the best smile in this World Cup, his goalkeeping has been unbelievable.
Yeah, and it has been unbelievable as well, but I think that has been down to the defence as well. Like, he's faced a lot of shots, but the defence is sort of less than that as well, and even just in front of the defence as well, Amrabat as well. I mean, absolutely working his socks off, and some of the defensive works that he's doing, getting those tackles and interceptions in, really just, I mean, Bono has been exceptional, but I think that the praise should really go farther forward just because of the work that they do, like tirelessly, even when we're getting into like near the end, he's just absolutely just running his socks off.
And yeah, but if you look at the Zamora Trophy in Spain for the best keeper, he won that for Sevilla, and that's a trophy that's been dominated by Thibaut Courtois and Jan Oblak over the last 5 years. So he's an impressive company, and he's there when his country needs him. And I think they've got the confidence, and you saw it in the Spain game, that when it went to penalty shootout, they've got a keeper who can make those big saves, similar to what Argentina have got with Emi Martinez. He's kind of the heartbeat of that side. You feel it's unfortunate because Saïss went down with an injury. Looks like he's out of the tournament. Aguirre, his fitness is questionable heading into the semi-final, and I don't know about Mazraoui either. So that solidity that they've had at the back is going to be tested massively against the French side, who've got all those attacking threats. But you've got to give credit to the head coach and the spirit of Morocco as well, because if you would have looked at the tournament in terms of how it was going to pan out, they had the hardest group and they had the hardest path to get to this point, and they've seamlessly managed to only concede one goal, which is incredible, and I hope it continues onto the final.
The interesting thing as well, they've dealt with crosses so greatly, and we've been speaking about the threat of Olivier Giroud, so that battle there is going to be very interesting.
And just very quickly on the fans as well, the Argentina and the Morocco fans, whenever they've played, it's felt like a home game for them countries. If they get to take each other on in the final, I don't know how the fan split works at World Cups, but they're going to have a tough task, because I think when Argentina played their last game, it was like 80,000 Argentinian fans, and then you have Morocco, and like not only is it in Morocco, it's happening in France, it's happening in England. They probably have the best fans in this tournament. I think it's quite sort of underappreciated by us watching from here, that having that over there must feel incredible for them.
Yeah, I've been one of the only World Cup games I've ever been to was Argentina, Nigeria. Messi brought it down, scored a goal, went in late. I was about 5 minutes before kickoff. 95% Argentinian, and It's literally one of the best atmospheres I've ever experienced in my life. And I think it's great to see the African nations travelling as well and taking those fans over there. There's a lot of talk about the World Cup being in the Middle East, but it's enabled these fans to travel, just being that little bit closer as well, and they're bringing the numbers. And yeah, I mean, as long as we get a good atmosphere, which if it's a 50-50 split, I mean, the roof could go off.
Yeah, and if you look at these, it's the mental hurdle that they've overcome, which has been the most impressive thing. Because if you look at the other African teams that have made it to the quarterfinal stage but not managed to get to the final four, Cameroon in 1990 were probably just happy to be there. Then you look at in 2002 Senegal, they had a great side, but again, probably happy to be there, especially they had a tough group with France in there. Ghana 2010, we know how close they got. But this Morocco side, they've been one of the best teams in the tournament, and they deserve to be here, and they're playing with that confidence as well. So they'll give France a tough game, and I'm excited to see how those two teams match up.
It's strange, isn't it? Because they're playing like tournament football ahead of their experience, because they've not got this in the locker. But like we spoke about, everything they've done defensively ties into sort of like a really experienced international team, but they've never been there. And maybe that ties into a little bit as well, just having that fresh eyes, and there's no expectations on them. So yeah, it's just very exciting to see.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube, and for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app, and for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.